Okay, here we go. Hi guys, welcome to my home. I wanted to do a video today on my first year here in America. October 29th, I arrived in Philadelphia, where I now live, and this year has been the biggest year of my life. I have gone through more in this year than I ever thought I would ever experience in my entire lifetime. And so I wanted to share my experience with you in the hope that maybe something that I've experienced will help you through where you're at right now. And yeah, I know I've learned so much through other people. That's how I learned, is through other people and understanding their life experiences and their willingness to share with me and with the world. So yeah, this is my life. So let's start at how this all started. So this is a story that really starts for me in my move from Australia to Toronto. So I was 23 when I finished law school, and at the time that I was at law school, I was also a working dancer. And I picked up a job in the beauty industry because I knew about halfway through my law degree that I didn't want to follow the traditional law path. And so I had been working at this beauty company for a really long time and just like given my whole heart and soul into it. And I'd applied for every single internship they had available, seriously every single one of them, because basically the only way to progress in this company and to start to build a career in that industry was to apply for these internships. So I had done that, and I got rejected from absolutely every single internship. I remember they didn't even give me 2 seconds on the phone. They were basically like, "We don't get it. Like, you've got a law degree. We don't understand you." And I was like 23, so I didn't even understand me either, you know? And so I remember I pretty much got the shits with Australia after that, because I was so upset. You know, I'd given my all. So I got the shits and basically packed my bag and then jumped online, bought a work visa, and then headed off to Canada. And that was pretty hilarious if I come to think about it now, just packing the suitcase and just literally escaping Australia, which is now I know paradise. But I was 23 and emotional and all that. So anyway, moved to Canada. In the meantime, so as soon as I arrived in Canada, I got a text message via Instagram from my boss, so my current boss, her best friend, and someone who works heavily in the company with her. I had actually met him in Australia, in Brisbane, during the time that I'd gotten rejected from all those internships. And yeah, so anyway, he'd followed me on Instagram and I had no idea. And when I moved to Canada, he was like, literally the first week, he was like, "Hey, are you living here full time? Because like we need you on our team." And so I basically got offered the sales and education territory manager position for my company in Canada, looking after the whole of Eastern Canada. So can you imagine, like 23, or I think I was 24 at the time, I just felt so blessed. And the job really was like, lifestyle wise, everything that I had ever wanted, like growing up, just wanting to like express myself in a certain type of way. This job just offered me that completely. So it was really like the start of my like me really seeing like, wow, like dreams come true. Yeah. So anyway, the larger part of this story is that when I moved to Canada, I actually moved with my boyfriend of 7 years. And so anyone who's been in a relationship for that long knows that a 7-year long relationship is basically like a marriage. So I was basically married to this person. And at the start of last year, 2019, this person broke up with me out of the blue, no warning, literally packed a bag and left. And actually he broke up with me over text message. So that was amazing after 7 years. And you know, amidst a situation like that, so much lying and deceit and crap, basically, that eventually came to light now. But yeah, so basically I was left with we had 2 dogs together. They're still in the house. They're with their mama now. So mamas doing it for themselves. Okay, my girl dog looked at me like, don't. So I had 2 big dogs with him and a whole life. So basically any Aussie in Canada knows that you get 2 years on your working visa, and then if you want to stay in Canada after those 2 years, you have to apply for permanent residency. So we had applied for permanent residency, we'd paid all the money, done all the stuff, like you have to go through this whole process, you have to go take an English test, for God's sake, like it's ridiculous, like a 6-hour long English test. P.S. English is the only language I can speak, and I barely can speak English, honestly. I make up so many words. It's the Australia in me. Anyway, so we'd had our permanent residency application in, and then obviously old mate, who's packed up his bags and just left me, didn't want to complete the form. So I'm heartbroken, bloody devastated beyond belief. And now I get an email from Canadian Immigration that says you have to stop work immediately. As of this day, it's illegal for you to work. Plus, you have to leave the country in 60 days. I can't even begin to tell you what the emotion was in my body. I was humiliated, paralyzed, depressed, anxious. I basically was like dead. I was like in my body, but I felt dead to the whole world. It's only thanks to the fact that I had my best girlfriends, luckily, who were in the same city with me, that, you know, I didn't die during that time, because, you know, I remember my girlfriend, my best friend Lani, every single day she'd be like, hey, we're going to boxing tonight. Hey, we're going to yoga tonight. You know, where are you? Let's go have coffee right now. Let's go and get groceries at Kensington Market. She just literally kept me alive. And it's only through the kindness and the empathy of the women in my life that stood up for me during that time to literally gather around me. Like, makes me emotional to think about. That's a whole other video. Cherish the women in your life. They're amazing, amazing, beautiful people that make the world go around, I think. Anyway, okay, so so where was I at? During this time where I was completely paralyzed, I had no concept of how to move forward in the day, I started to reach for anything to feel more powerful, more in control of my life. I started to study the life experience and the universe and how it works. I was always like such a gypsy baby like that and loved all that kind of stuff, but for the first time in my life I really felt like I was living it. I was living in a very real, raw sense what creation actually is, because I was the closest thing to death, basically. And so anyway, during this time I started reading a lot. I started listening to podcasts. I started listening to YouTube videos, anything to cultivate my understanding of how I'd gotten to where I was, like what I had created and what I wanted to create next. That was the only way I could sort of start to stoke that fire and that light and that little, like, plant a little seed of faith for the future that would get me actually like up and out of bed thinking like, okay, I can still live life, even though during this time I have to say, especially for those who unfortunately might be going through what I was going through at that time, I did not feel positive, I did not feel optimistic, I didn't feel good. So yeah, you're not alone in how you're feeling, if that's what you're going through. I just simply started to do these things for myself every single day. So during that time, I started to write a lot, and to journal, and I realize now that I truly believe that everyone has this way of receiving their intuition, so messages from the spirit world and the other realms of life that exist, your soul, whatever it is that you believe. That's what I believe. I believe that every single person has senses that are more primed and more sensitive, depending on just who they are. And like some people are clairvoyant, where they see things, they either actually physically see things or they see it in their mind's eye. Other people are clairsentient. I'm definitely clairsentient, where I can feel it. I can feel what's going to happen. and I've realized now that journaling is a huge way that I intuit. So I'll just be scribbling things, and it's actually like I'm receiving very clear messages. So during this time, I had written in my diary, June, July, I'll be in Australia. End of the year, like October, September, I'll be living in America. And during this time, I had no reason to believe any of that. I had no money in my bank account. I'd basically gone through all the cash that I had saved up, just existing. Anyway, out of the blue, I get a phone call from my boss to fly me down to Philadelphia, where I currently live right now. And she was flying me down to audition for QVC, to sell her product, to present her product on national TV, which is what she does. And so I flew down during that time, and I auditioned, and I actually got it. I got the audition in that one day, and I actually I felt like, wow, maybe things are actually like looking up for me. And then I got told that, oh my gosh, we can't get your visa done, because no one knew how to process my visa or what to do to get me on the correct visa to move to the States. So then I got told, you have it? Okay, actually, no, sorry, you don't. And so during this time, like I said, I'd written in my diary, June, July, Australia. And then out of the blue, not too long after that, I received my work bonus for the previous year that I had been working. And because I'd grown the territory so much and just plumped them up with so much love and like goodness, love my territory still to this day, I had a bonus, and that money allowed for me to pay someone to look after my dogs, so I could go back to Australia and earn some money and try and figure out how to stay in Canada or to stay in North America. And so basically went to Australia. Actually, I do want to say, anyone who's going through anything like similar with their animals, Australia has amongst some of the strictest agricultural laws, which is why I couldn't bring them straight to Australia. It takes actually roughly about 6 months to get it done, and it's a lot of money. So parting with my dogs was, number one, the first biggest challenge of my entire life. They're like my children, so I'll definitely do a video on that too, to help people who are going through a similar thing, because I was a single mama with 2 big dogs. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. Went back to Australia, and I had no idea until I actually lived my experience in Australia how vital and how essential that time was to my healing. Anyone who's gone through a divorce, heartbreak, anything that seriously rocks your sense of stability like no other, you totally understand that feeling of insecurity and instability. You feel like you've got no control over your life, and what Australia did for me by returning at that point in time was it just filled me up. Like, it just literally, Australia equals sunshine, and it warmed me up. It warmed my entire being. It grew me. It like planted seeds within me and grew me into the woman that I am today. I've spent so much time at the beach, swimming, out in the sun, cleansing my whole physical being, eating fresh produce, being around friends and family who love me and could just empathize with me and be like, this is so messed up, and just being around people that understood me, understood my life, and just truly loved me was so incredibly healing for me. During this time, I actually met a friend of mine who is a mystic, a medium. I call him mystic. I guess he is a mystic. Yeah, he's a spiritual medium. Hawaiian guy, Jason. He's in Brisbane. So many people in Brisbane know who Jason is, and I think it's hilarious because it's people, even who don't believe in, spirituality or, other forms of life existing. They just think, like, this is what it is. And then they see him and they're like, okay, like he's just so on point. And he tells you things about your life that are so intimate that you just have to experience it. You understand and you learn and you grow from the experience of actually being with him and him being like intimately in your life and in your world. And that was one of the first things I did when I got back to Australia. And basically he had said to me in my reading, you know that you're moving to America at the end of the year and you're working on a huge media platform. You're working for a tourist woman, and you're going to be teaching the world. And the weird thing was, right before I'd seen him, I actually, as soon as I got to Australia, I went to my favourite coffee shop, Famished on Fraser's. Shout out guys, love them so much. I actually ended up doing a little work stint there for a bit. And so I got my laptop and I sat down there for about 2 to 3 days. I think I just kept coming in same time every day, and I worked on my laptop like crazy. I was like, that's it, Em, you went to law school, you know how to do this. No one is going to tell you, no one's going to do this for you. You have to figure this out yourself, and you have the power to do it. And I researched the law, I found all the different visas, and I found the right one that applied to me. I wrote my job description, and then I emailed my boss from Australia. I love my boss so much. She's like put up with me and all my crazy rebelliousness. She's exactly the same, so we're kindred spirits. But yeah, I emailed her and I was like, this is how we're gonna do it. And I didn't actually hear much during that process. Everything was very quiet. And so here I am just gallivanting around Australia, like going to the markets, eating amazing food, like swimming, sending every dollar I have to my dogs over in North America. Just thinking like, what the hell is, like, I don't know what's next for me, but I feel good. I feel so good. Anyway, so during this time, what happened then? Oh, that's right. And so Jason had said to me, like, you're gonna find out October, September, like it's out of the blue. And no joke, October of last year, start of October last year, I got a random phone call from my company, and they said, Em, all your documents are done, like the lawyers have finished working with it, you just need to fly to the consulate, have your interview, and then we can get you here. And so October 29th, I believe October 29th, yeah, I hope I'm celebrating my 1 year accurately. Yeah, October 29th, I got on the plane and I left. I left Australia and I came here to America, and I started my life from scratch. Had nothing, had no home, had no credit history, had my dogs in Canada that I needed to go and sort out. So yeah, I want to do a whole video actually next on that moving process, because I know people have like lots of questions about that. But yes, that's been my year. And here I am sitting in my home in Philadelphia, USA, where I dreamt of. I'm with my dogs. You notice I have another dog here. That's a whole other story because I'm married now. Yay. Surprise. There's a lot to talk about, but yeah, that will do for today. Thank you guys so much for being in my world with me. And I hope that today gives you some inspiration to believe in yourself where you are right now. Life is incredibly layered and textured, but I believe that we're all on our own path, and that the more allowing we get of that path, the quicker we actually get to our destination. And for me, like, this definitely isn't the end. I've just begun my journey here, but this is definitely the start of something really exciting for me, and a completion of sorts, getting to my very first year here in America. So yeah, thank you guys. Have a good day today.